Welcome back to the Blast R6 Europe League. I'm still Anne. I'm still joined by Fresh and Fabian, of course, as well. But our third game of the day, pretty sure we can call that our best match of the day so far, because when we talk about BDS to start out with, the first team we're going to be starting with, they are loving life at the moment. They've won the Multi-Cyber Series, made some massive changes to their team. They're on bootcamp right now, had a really good start to Europe League. It's looking absolutely amazing, but who wants to start on this team?
You know, before we start, you know, we were having a competition, me and Jack, to who to start between these two teams.
We both wanted to talk
about G2 first, and we both wanted to talk about BDS first. So we have a pre-game to the game, and we're gonna do a rock, paper, scissors contest on who gets to start. So if we can get the camera right on us, and we want to both start. So rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
No!
No,
He's beat me 3 times today.
Yeah,
anyway, go on.
You haven't
introduce BDS. Go.
BDS. Honestly, this is. I'm so intrigued by what this team can achieve, because I think they have so much potential. The gun skill is out of this world. They have a young in-game leader that just can do whatever he wants, and he's such a both a mechanically talented player, extremely intelligent, and just has this aura of greatness around him. And then every single player in that team also have that aura of greatness around them.
It's absolutely incredible. They've built this super team, but they looked so good yesterday in terms of the way they played. We're setting ourselves up to say, oh, we forgive them if they make some strategic mistakes because it's such a new team, such a big change. IGLing in a different language, for Christ's sake. But they looked solid yesterday. Obviously, today is a bit more of a litmus test for them, going up against former world champions. But if they continue this arc, we could be looking at the start of genuinely a team that could compete for absolutely everything.
Team that did that, of course, for a very long time was G2, but also when they won SI a year ago. But then, of course, especially you get to introduce that team since you won.
I'll give you this one for free, buddy.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, okay. I get to introduce the original super team in terms of G2. Now, obviously, these guys, you know, you said the last kind of 6 months, by their standards, not good. By most other team standards in the world, excellent, you know, with their placings in Atlanta and SI particularly. I think they looked okay yesterday. They looked a little bit sloppy. I know that Doki said in the interview he feels like he's just been working hard and hard and hard. And it kind of showed telltale signs of that. They were very, very good at punishing Fnatic's mistakes yesterday, but they also really didn't unlock and had some very bad rounds themselves. They really didn't unlock some of the defenses. So for G2, I don't necessarily know where they're at. I think maybe looking towards specifically how they might be affected by their opponent is where I'm thinking today, because they did lose that best of 5 against BDS last week.
Yeah, and all these big games for G2, that's where they kind of seem to struggle a bit as well, because they seem to be able to brush away all these little bit slightly weaker teams. They seem to be able to brush those off completely. But there seems like there's some disconnect within that group when they go up against, I would say, equally good teams. There's something that's just not clicking for them, because they look so dominant against, well, the ones that are slightly worse, or the ones that we give like a 40% chance to win.
Yeah.
They dominate those guys. But when it's 45-50% chance, it's not so.
It's like the teams they feel they're better than, they honestly come out and just
them.
They have that confidence and arrogance and shit on them.
Yeah.
The teams that they fear a little bit, it's in the server, they fear them a lot.
Yeah, it's like they have this ego towards these weaker teams, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, you don't even get to play against us because we don't think you deserve it. So we'll smash you. And then there's some sort of, we've talked about a Brazilian ghost. I don't know if it's a Brazilian ghost. Lost twice to BDS last, right? Could be a better team ghost.
Yeah.
Something you said when we talked about BDS was that there's IGLing being done in a language that's not your native language, but I feel like that's something that's happening on both these teams, because even for Elamau, when he's speaking in English, that's not his first language, but it is the battle of the brains between these two teams.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've highlighted these two IGLs against each other. Obviously, we've got Shaco and Virtue on the pictures. We are talking about Alamau and Leakyfac as the IGLs of the two teams. Now, the stats that you're going to see is the stats of the entire teams here. Their attack win rates, the average entry times, the round recoveries, very, very similar. And I think the big differential between these two, and we're going to call them that, the big differential between these two super teams is genuinely that it is going to be how their IGLs can manage their troops around the map. Because both of these guys are so inherently smart at understanding it, and it's about how the IGLs perform today in my mind.
Yeah, it's 100% about the in-game leaders, because every single player on both rosters has that star potential to just, this round, I'm going to run away with it, I'm going to get my quad kill, and the round is going to be over because I wanted so. And if all the players have that ability, everyone can win a duel against anybody, which means that all of a sudden, it's like everything is even again. Now it's all in here. Are you strong enough mental? Can you go behind? Can you come back? We're going to see so many different things from both of them.
Yeah.
We have seen a best of 5 between these two teams during the Malta Cyber Series, as we mentioned. We'll have the map video up very soon, I'd imagine, but any map we'd like to see for this one?
Well, we're going to see Chalet, and I think there's two ways of looking at this, I think, depending on which goggles you want to put on. I think if you're a BDS fan, you say, oh, we're playing our permaban for BDS for the longest time. They never played Chalet. However, they've introduced 2 players from M&M in Users and Solotop that were absolutely the kings of Chalet. So Chalet should be a map that they're now very good at and also plays into a very frag-heavy style. However, if you're G2, and if you're a G2 fan, you're looking at Chalet being the only map that G2 beat BDS on in the Malta Cyber Series as well. So both teams have got something that they can kind of hold on to as to why this map is a better map for them than their opponent.
Yeah, and I don't think it would have mattered which map they went on. They could have gone on to Plane, and it would have still been just a game where any side can win. It's so hard to call which team would come out on top. I don't think the playstyle of the map would have mattered because both of these teams are so good that, okay, it's a defender favorite map. Well, then we'll win their defenses and some attacks as well. If it's an attacker favorite map, well, we go in and do exactly the same, but other way around. It wouldn't have mattered which map it is. I think it's 50-50, no matter which one.
All right, a 50-50. We also have our casters, of course, ready to talk us through this game because you now have everything that you need to know before this matchup. Let's bring our casters back in as well. We, of course, have Hap and Fluke still with us. And you two heard it probably on the disc. There was mentions of Super Team versus Super Team, but which of the Super Teams will come out on top?
BDS.
I think I favor BDS as well, especially
you're
how
supposed to go
Malta
the other
went.
way.
Okay, sorry, G2, definitely G2. Not
Say
biased at
7-0,
all
Hap.
here.
Be that confident.
7-0 G2.
7-0 G2.
Or it's the viewers,
Did it.
guys. It's the viewers. They're the winners,
The
right?
viewers.
Viewers
Everybody
are the
wins
true
here.
winners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I got G2,
I think
we
it's
got-
good.
BDS? You two?
I think one of the 2 teams.
I think
No.
BDS. I'll
No.
go BDS.
One of
You
the
think
have
it's
to
like
pick
we're
one because
under
we
the
talked
desk.
about
And
you
you
have to pick one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 7-0 G2. It's always the way.
Very much 50-50, but we'll have to see what it's going to be like on Chalet with Hap and Fluke.
Hi up there. Yeah, I like how we're like underneath the desk. Like it's like a real hierarchical thing now.
Yeah, desk
So,
is quite literally above us.
I want at some point our cameras to be above the desk cameras, please.
We can look down.
We can
on
look
the end.
down. Down on them. It's the first time Anne's been taller than anyone in her life, so I'll let her have it. Chalet. We ski on over to for BDS versus G2. And I know it's a conversation of super teams. I know it's a conversation about toss-ups. I just want a great game of Siege. Selfishly, I do want the viewers to be the top end. I think the first 2 games we've had some moments. I don't think we've really started to cook as a UL yet today, and I think this could be that potential game of the day here if we can start to really get it on a showing course.
Now, this map was actually played between these 2 teams in Malta. It's the only map that G2 has been able to win from the 5 they played against BDS. So 5 they played, it was a best of 5 final. Yeah, it was because they lost the upper final against them as well. So, just as a bit of a pointer there, it was a 5-7 loss against G2 for BDS. So slightly favored. They must ban.
Fear or respect? What
I
is
don't
it?
think we'll get an answer.
Well, they've been using all chat, as they often do. They're trying to ask if they can ban Nomad. They're trying to get in the mental game, but also it's how well these 2 teams know each other, because not even in just the org versus org setup, right, of the famous BDS versus G2 showdown, of just those 2 organizations that we talked about for however long, but it's also the idea of we know how well users in Solotop know players like Doki, know the players that they've sort of played against and come up in the region against. So it's just going to be one of those showdowns where this could be one of those first true tastes of the current BDS roster.
Of course, everybody was sad that we didn't get to see them during 6 invitationals, like the favorite roster to win SI that's actually not playing SI kind of deal in terms of how they were dubbed. So it is good to see them coming in now, and they had a pretty decent start, in the first day as well. I mean, they won Malta. Now they managed to get that 7-3 victory yesterday. Going up against G2 though, that might quite literally be down the line for a, well, maybe even #1 spot in the league.
5 seconds left before insertion.
It all begins here with G2 leading on their defense. Now, both these two teams were able to get themselves off to a start yesterday. BDS dispatched the wild game pretty much as handily as I think anyone expected to. G2's versus Fnatic went all the distance, went all the way to 8-7. There was a lot of sort of coverage of the plant game as well. They played the objective game very, very well. They were able to get themselves really cemented in here, G2. Because BDS sort of had the opposite. Everything was a bit of a brawl. They were more than happy to have it become the Users and Shaiko show.
It must have been a bit of a jump scare there as Doki just ran out as soon as you put the Claymore down. You know, there's just one thing that scares me when I'm looking at the current lineup, and it's Shaiko on a Finka LMG. Of course, like, it slows you down slightly, you get like a little speed nerf, but we've seen how good Shaiko is, and now he doesn't have to reload for basically the entire round. You know, the one time he's vulnerable, it's no longer vulnerable. And it seems like he's playing the horizontal grip on it as well to get that extra bit of speed, so he's not that impacted by it. And that tells you that, you know, he has no trouble recoil, controlling that recoil whatsoever.
Here comes the quick bit of pressure towards Alamau, force him further and further away. Now, he wasn't quite the star player that he often is in the recent showdown. He was going to see if he could try and get the lead in. Doki, I mean, he telegraphed his intention with that doorway. He comes back in, and the first body that he removes being used is going to be something that he's probably smiling about. But Alamau against Shaiko instantly pulls the favor back into the 4 versus 4. Bride slips their way in, but you swung a little early there, Virtue. They could still see you. Benja gets Shaiko, Solotov gets Benja, and this is exactly the sort of game that we wanted. All 10 players brawling and battling against each other here. Now, the body advantage is in the favor of BDS currently, but they said it was the Users and Shaiko show generally yesterday, and they're both the two that have been removed. So it's time for, oh, I don't know, a couple of other superstar players to show up.
The entire lobby is full of them. And everybody's able to make these clutches stick. For now, G2, they find themselves locked around the site, not with too much control. There is an opportunity to try a plant. It's very ill timing there for Solotov. As he wants to throw a flashbang, he gets his head removed. Uno digging in deeper into the actual kitchen, seizing the opportunity to take that ground. And as Bride starting to fire back, is actually the verticality that comes into haunt them. Doki now trying to retake that verticality as well. He sees the drone being flicked between. He misses the first opportunity. Will get it on the second try. Knows that plant is happening as he drops right through the hatch. He's not able to find a kill though, and Bride locks it off.
There he is, that iron hand land at the end of it. Bride getting some good control, getting a couple of pulls and plays there. It's the first round, it's the early doors. The fact that both teams were trying to make as full use of where they could find firefights and Chalet, of where they could get into these engagements shared all across the land, gives me a bit of hope of how this game is going to go, because there was instant reactions, instant responses to things. Sometimes a bit premature, I think, on the Virtue swing there, but
Go.
otherwise sometimes perfectly.
10 seconds.
I mean, Doki, if there's anybody that you need to show up today, the consistency of Doki is that big play.
You see how much that matters as well, right? It's like he's just mad at himself for not like winning that gunfight at that point. And BDS, they find themselves with that first round on the board. After what was a pretty back and forth round, I think we can say. I mean, it came down to like the final member. Bride, you know, back when we had the utility meta, he quickly rose to like the top. When the BDS started playing, he's like, he was back then dubbed the best support, and I still think he's like within the top 3. You can always count on him, and he has such a clutch potential as well in those situations. It's like he's never losing his calm. He's always ready to go, doesn't panic whatsoever. Doki there, by the way, finding out about the air jab, so it's not going to be going for the run out now. Might reattempt it though, has those impacts to bounce it off.
Shield quickly pops their way in. Monty being able to get a little bit blitz-esque. Current setup of how the operators can function. 3-day quick control here. Over onto back end of the Solarium stairs. The only thing being shown at them is Benja. He was able to pull an early kill. Now, he had a slow start to the game yesterday and then became one of the best performing players of anybody. So he's more than likely unable to get himself into that headspace, into that gameplay again. Where's Bride getting revealed here? At this point, we'd already had a couple of runouts. They are well aware of someone being close, but not entirely close enough to the head of Doki.
There's no way he's still leaning into that fight, right? Like, he's just been spotted, just got some rounds sent towards him. He's still around to go for a run out. There's actually Benja that will find a kill onto users, so Doki's no longer needed to go out that doorway that he was aiming to do so. Instead, went for the big garage door, hoped to find anybody on the double repel window, as Lucafact will find Uno. Ping's coming in from down below as well as Bride drops. It's going to be a very unfortunate way to lose your Montaigne. It might have been a smoke plant attempt, I'm not quite sure.
Whatever it was, it pulls the shield out, pulls the planter out, and puts you in a minute 10 in a sort of man disadvantaged fight here. Shaiko suffers, Virtue makes him suffer even more. What are the two remaining BDS players going to be able to pull together here? The backline is still set up. Evac gets Benja, gets the crossfight. The Fire Doki gets a connection with Solotov. With 50 seconds, 3 players ahead of him. The sort of backline almost gets the drop onto Doki, who's only a sliver away. The mine being activated underneath his feet. A nightmare that lets Doki pass, importantly. He's now onto the left-hand side of the door. They had no idea about it.
1-to-1. Good callback there. They actually ran it back. They realized it's just a slight mistake. Maybe 2 things we need to change, and we find ourselves with some success, and that they did. And I mean, again, this is what we expected, right? Like, we want to get this in a back and forth kind of way. See these traits to come out. See these teams really go head to head, as this could be a game that decides who is the #1 team in Europe at the end of the stage. And I know it's very premature to, you know, look at it that way already. That is maybe what it comes down to.
On a piece. The game begins to cook here. The same sort of power positions held. Obviously, they doubled it down. They thought they could try and make it work. Similar runouts attempted. We saw Doki causing problems with the Solace. The operator on this map is so dangerous in the right hands.
10 seconds left.
4 kills over 2 rounds. It's definitely the right hands for now.
Located by attackers.
You're still looking
5
at the
seconds to
sort of
insertion.
possibility of frag players in this game, right? Although there are great
Attackers'
backlines,
objective
great
is
sort of
to defuse the
staples
bomb.
and IGL call potential across the 2 teams, and a focus on plant that I talked about before. When you have this many names that are so good and so sort of competent at getting into firefights, you kind of need all of them to shine. So your eyes go to players like Alamau and players like Solotov, who didn't quite have the same impact yesterday. The Bandit trick gets the Thermite, and oh, there's at least the play against it. The roll of the grenade, 4 seconds to pop. Gets that. They won't trick this, but they have now limited the hard breach pretty heavily towards the single smoke plant here onto this wall.
Yeah, that's it. There's no other way to deal with this as Shaiko goes down by Benja. The plant attempted, though, in the middle of the smoke. There's no one to reply to it, and that means it will go down. The glass is there to provide the cover, and 45 seconds now counting down in favor of BDS. Solotov will find another great kill as well. A retake over the top 4 is going to be attempted by Benja, I believe, as they do still have the 1 player in the main stairs to worry about. Elamau is taking that fight up close, hoping to chase that one down. Finds the secure as well in the meantime, and Benja now finds himself on top of the mezzanines with nothing really to go for. They have some smoke canisters, but that doesn't block the line of sight. They need to have the challenge onto the players outside.
I mean, look at this. Just a watch for 1 and 2 EFAC. Either side, that's some practice inside the shooting range, and a Monty bully for the final kill. BDS blow their way in towards the site itself, smash the wall down. And from then on, they're just doing their best to try and peel and pull the rest of the round back. But P2, they could not find a second to breathe, and already the impact, the synergy across these two teams and how quick they're responding towards the game at hand. 3 rounds in, traded all the way. I mean, here as well, that's well practiced. That's following big balls and small balls across the shooting range.
I was gonna say, like, sure, you know, the Benetric really like impacted their breach there, but it seemed like that was their plan from the get-go. I mean, that they had the glass there, they had the smokes, they had the Montaigne. It was just gonna be aimed at a plant like that. And when Warden is not on the board,
10 seconds.
and you're playing against the glass, you're just gonna get your head removed if you're looking through the smoke.
5 seconds.
And
to
you
go.
can fire all you want with the MP7, I believe it was back then. But again, that shield is reversed towards the site. You're not going to find anything with it. I think a C4 would have been the only saving grace there for the side of G2.
From here on in, G2, can you get the response? Not going to go for the double down this time. Instead, the stretch and extension towards the kitchen site. Got Heatback popping himself in towards these engagement. Users has well, at least survived a round so far. But being the opening death a couple of times definitely hampered the pace he wishes to apply. It's one of those tougher games as well, when you know your opponents as well as he does. Getting your mentality on what is one of those games. You got a shot. Derby Day, Brede definitely does. Inside the site with a kill to his name. Doki's outside the building with nothing but a watch onto this. Brede, he really is tempted by the idea of a plant, but look at the rest of BDS flooding their way in. G2 know they have to try and retake the vertical. That's all they can really play. If they go for the site itself, they're just going to throw themselves into an engagement where it's all been taken away from them. Benja, the single player inside, Doki, the most important person outside, should get the read on the kit.
And there quite quickly, the plant now being attempted. A Nitrocell on the double window should provide some security, but user stays alive, gets one. Doki on the hatch, however, will find the kill just in time as the cover eventually is there. The diffuser is stopped, needs to be recovered, but it's a 3-on-3 situation. They know of at least one of those players from G2, should know about 2. Everybody's upstairs, and the Solitaire will find Uno. It's quite literally just around the back here. And if they are aware, I mean, they don't have a Logibomb anymore. It needs to come from drones or just, you know, sound recognition. Cannot go for a plant otherwise.
I mean, there, the confirmation to stop the kit going down as well came off Balamau getting a couple. He almost gets his third onto Shaiko. They don't have any more stims. They're not getting any more health for that trade. Virtue, he's trying to swing around, give himself a little bit more to think about, but Shaiko has that connection, and Alamau, he's eked his way down the stairs, takes the head off of Shaiko. He would have to ace to clutch this round out. They have the vertical. They're watching down on the hatch. They've still got to try and make the kit plant. The drop, no. They've handed vertical over. Almost gets the back end of EFAC, who slips their way through, gets himself a rotate. He's concerned about the watch from top main, but it's Solitov doubled up on the door. BDS pull that round back from the brink.
Alamau got stuck there in the actual rotate he tried to make for himself. I'm not quite sure what held him back, but he was looking to go through quicker, failed to actually do that. Was, of course, worried about someone being on the top of West Main, rightfully so. There's BDS that brings it back, leading quite comfortably now with a 1-3 scoreline. And I'm not trying to, you know, spell any doom day scenario, but I'm just gonna put some numbers out there. I hope that's okay. Throw them up. Every single time BDS has won during Malta, it was 7-3, 7-2, 7-1. So it's all very convincing game. It was only Chalet that went to 5-7. But I just mean to say with that overall, throughout that weekend, it was BDS that was clearly miles ahead of G2.
10 seconds remaining.
Because they made short work of them in any given game they played against them.
5 seconds to go.
So I'm just saying, if BDS has really started to gain some ground here and they don't stop going, we might just be looking at another 7-1, 7-2 like we saw in Malta.
Shock clock going live.
It's the risk. But G2 says they have players that can sometimes start a bit slow and turn into machines and monsters. Still going to keep themselves rotating around on site itself. Try and find something else that can connect, because he's got to make more than one set happen. They think it would be a bit dangerous to go back. There's danger. Ghost is gone. Opened up so strong with the first couple of rounds. Since then, has been locked out. Shaiko in that LMG like we're 2 metas ago, but making it seem like the easiest thing in the world to swing around. Uses as the read on a pretty injured Benja. He's able to somehow get himself back out of there.
Yeah, rotates through. Of course, that smoke kind of covered his retreat out there. It's not a wall, but they will not be looking through to you, so save them. Allow them to get back. But still, there is that numbers advantage for the side of BDS. There's the HP advantage as well. Brede quite low, but nothing really too much to worry about. Shaiko entering, looking to go aggressive on Solarium. Does he know about the player swinging? Well, he definitely does now. However, Uno still comes out on top, but just barely. Brede, he has definitely been an outstanding performer so far in this series. Often the silent assassin, but he seems to have a habit of turning up in these Derby Day games against G2. Minute 10, the body advantage is theirs. Benja almost dropped very early on, but still has an impact and a chance to shine. Virtue playing the slight off-piece position. Could be the strike here onto Solotov, but as the drones come out, Evac hits the floor and Virtue hits Solotov in the face. Uses doubles onto Benja and Alamau within a split second. And I thought they were pulling it back. BDS smash it aside. Seeing the fellow Dutch analyst Pregame sitting in the back there. Sometimes I feel like he's more tense than the actual players when they're playing. BDS absolutely destroying. Again, like coming in from Liquefact through the wall as the pings are quite strong. And G2 now quite far behind. And as you saw there's no tactical timer that was called. Doki's running around on that Solace hunting drones. The final round is first half.
It's gone quick. I was sort of expecting, especially after the third round, and it had been traded back and forth, that it was a quick sort of showing of rounds, sure, but it was an engagement. It was responses to each other, and since then, I mean, BDS, press the We're BDS button. You know what that button does? It used to be only for Shaiko, right? Like, it's like, oh, we're losing a round, and he just suddenly kills everybody. And then slowly started transitioning into everybody's button. And now with the new two new additions, it's the BDS button. It's the BDS button. It wins rounds. It's like, oh, everything seems dire. What do we do? Oh, well, let's just win, you know? We don't have any control. That doesn't matter. Let's just get them out. Again, this is something that we, like last year, for example, said a lot about them about Cafe, where sometimes they have no control of piano, and then they just rush into Cigar Door and they somehow manage to win rounds. And, you know, that's starting to transition into different maps as well. And that's a really scary thing. If you're going up against them, you might do everything right strategically, and then 5 gunners just decide to, decide that this is a gun game, an FPS after all. It's the kills that matter in the end that way. Oh no! But he finds users. He gets the down, but he knows he's being hunted, so he leans in ready for the next fight. He cannot go the other side of the pillar because it's all been pre-fired instead. Everybody sort of retreats a little, licks their wounds. Nobody wants to hand the advantage over. Alamau tried to offer some support and get the end of the catch there onto Solotov, but Solotov themselves still pulls back. Every single player surviving that engagement that carried its way across 2 stories. Uno is the next to take a lump of damage. At the minute, it's all change, no cash. play.
Easy coming out. Smokes as well. The execute might be coming in soon. I mean, I think they're going to try and go for like a reverse plant again. It's just that the magnets is stopping it really from happening as Doki strikes as well.
Two on the rotate, doesn't get the full connection. Brede swings the pistol, gets a kill, but now with the 2 versus 3.
Drop the diffuser.
1 versus 3, Solotov almost had the first engagement in his favor.
I'm reloading.
Against Doki, but at this point, he has Doki and 2 friends to contend with. Benja, the first, taken off and well executed, but with a Solace still on the board, no impacts, but more than enough to spray through. He knows he has to try and play this kill game. Everything is being watched. Kit is recollected. He's going to tuck himself by the bomb chassis, but with a player still inside the bathroom, he's going to try and force the 1 versus 1 down Zuno, but he has no idea. So he's wasting and waiting against more time. Doki again, the Solace.
Seconds left.
Wasting, and he's going to run back and be
10
furious. He's looking for a kill confirm on a player long since
5
knocked
seconds to
over. The hop over the balcony, the cat to the Fenrir mine. Doki's turned a corner. And that is just 10 seconds taken away.
If they would have known, that would have been an instant plant. Like, just get on the plant at that moment in time. So 1v1, sure they can hear, sure they have the solace to give you the information as well. And it's a 1v1 you'd rather take than hunting that ghost who was in the bathroom. And that's an unfortunate way to lose a round, because he had the right idea with the spray, you know, just hitting the legs and the arms instead of the, you know, the center of the body. Reduce damage, eventually causing it down rather than a confirmed kill. This side swaps on us now. 4-2. BDS quite close to winning that one. G2 just pulling in the last shot as well, by the way, on the ARX there from Solotov. An extra bullet and that would have been a confirmed kill.
5 seconds to go.
It's one of those siege moments. It's one of those siege moments, and it,
10 seconds left before
you know,
insertion.
pulls us a bit back to how close these rounds can get. G2, they get
5
2.
seconds to insertion.
It is Chalet. You can drive yourself to these strong sort of attacker sides and half as well.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
The oppression of Fenrir even felt a bit today. Obviously, with all the changes towards just how many defender operators there are you want to get rid of.
Wall fortified.
Reloading.
There's a lot of them. It's like if you start counting about it, it's like you have the Valkyrie, which is banned, you have the Kiva barriers, the Fenrir, you have the Solus, who's been doing quite well. Like you're doing walking up that wall just to get touched by, like, aw. I mean, it's better that he finds it now instead of, you know,
Yeah, it's very true.
in the breach and you finish it and then it's electrified, because that is just pain.
He's got 2 claws here. He wants to sort of play against this game. I don't think he is actually just in time, but there it is. Perfect removal. Jaco does perfectly remove Doki as well. He's a little bit behind on the kill game, but now that is a Buki drone that, well, has been stopped. Brede gets Benja, who had actually found himself inside the site for a second there, but nothing else came on the back of it. Virtue takes a chunk of damage. I'm not sure if that was from the run out itself that we just had up on the top of the balcony, but as he goes inside to try and find the next engagement, he's entirely unaware of Unis's play. That leaves Alamau and Uno, the 2 IGL voices with everything to do.
There's one thing certain here, that they'll be talking a lot to one another with what they have and what not. You know, gets the first opportunity to land a fight, but misses the opportunity. The shotgun swings around. Elamau now in a 1v5 situation, a minute 20 on the clock. The diffuser is down on the opposite side of the map. And as he starts making his journey over, playing himself with the MK14, actually using the telescopic sight with the hollow. So, back into that decision again, whether or not you play that way, and Elamau swinging every corner he can. It's just time being wasted now, and Usis leans in. A flawless round from BDS. The start of their defense.
I mean, what a way of taking back control of this map. This competition here is, you know, as I sort of said, the story of this game is it felt level. BDS pulled ahead. One round was the break, and then you get to the break of the second half, and suddenly it's okay. We're back here. We're back on the wrong end, especially of a flawless. Look at how G2 sort of approached that problem as well. The Exothermic got caught out. From then on, they get caught out above, just on the window, trying to throw a boogie drone in through. And I'm not sure if that was sort of from the vertical, because Shaiko is very quickly down the stairs. So I don't know, yeah, if Doki had just entered.
We have it on the replay.
Had it, the replay of the screen gave us that.
And I mean, I think I know what went wrong there, right? Because when they were breaching, the Electroclaw was initially placed on top of the wall, like above, and the EMP'd that spot, but we just sort of K-jiggled them, and he replaced it with one that was down below. So the first EMP impact didn't get anything. The second one did. But in the meantime, he's already tossed in the new Electroclaw, which, you know, goes off at that point. And could actually catch it up. And that's the thing, that's the trade-off between the EMP impacts or Thatcher EMPs, because Thatcher EMPs have a way bigger radius. You would have been able to get it either way. You have 3 of them as well, so you can easily chain and make sure that there's no tricking going on with the claw. But here they only had a single one, and it wasn't enough.
Oh, well, there's an early catch. Users gets Benja, and I said you have expectations, but he has just not been able to meet those exceedingly high, to be fair. Look across the board of G2, and generally everyone's a bit shy of being level, a bit under the 1.0. This is sort of game that BDS are going to make everybody have to go through. They're in, and Doki does find one with Defat getting Virtue, and Users still holding on to a power position, usually the first one cleared out at the very beginning of a round, and instead he's decided he wants to take 2 buddies for the trouble. And as Alamau just finds a fight on the back end of Aoife. 3 versus 2, and refires towards the approach that might come his way. It's a minute 30, and another man disadvantage G2 has to try and pull themselves back from.
Still heavy presence near library though. Users playing right behind the display cabinet there. We still have someone up on the balcony. Alamau's currently droning, trying to find out any information. This is drone killed as well, so where that came from, he doesn't know. Afna is now blinding him as well. Has no clue what that is, so he's forced to rotate off. For a potential Captain traps as well as it's on the board. Shaiko takes down Uno. And Alamau, now the last man standing, manages to make himself up to the top, hoping to challenge Library. I mean, but they're coming up the blue stairs already.
They've heard him
for a double swing. They know where he is. There's a shield there. There's no way he's going to get in from that point. He fakes the drop, goes back up the ladder. Actually somewhat worked because they fell off and finds himself a way into Piano with 35 seconds left on the clock. It's just that's the issue. There's not a lot of time left. The diffuser's dropped outside. He needs to go for all kills. Misses the opportunity for the first one on the shield, but still lands it on the second attempt in a 1v2 now as he's hopping himself towards games, but he's aware that someone is up above. He's aware someone is inside a stock as he survives the first engagement down here on the ground floor. Walking through, he needs to get the pantry kill first. Swaps over towards the pistol, goes in, doesn't get it. A Capcan will though. And BDS find themselves up onto map and match point.
I mean, understandably out of time to check that door for Capcan traps. It was a heroic effort. There's definitely a player who always knows that there's more potential to be played inside a round, but just too much has been done here by this BDS roster. There is always someone insane that you're about to walk into. And here, when it was a sort of 4-2 split, not impossible. Some teams like to attack, even in this meta. But a 6-2, time to take the timeout. Is it too little, too late? You have Brede as Brede sitting as the top frag on this roster.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's shared.
8-3 with 2 assists. Brede's number 1.
He is definitely number one in terms of the KD ratio. That's for sure.
It just says a lot about this game. When I said it at the beginning that every single player in this roster, in this lobby, has to be ready for one of the toughest gun games they'll ever have in terms of being able to have those firefights and 1 versus 1s. It is just BDS day so far.
And it's not like it's just 3 day popping off, right? It's like 8, 8, 8, 6, 7.
Oh no, it's 8. That's exactly the same. As every single player has to be able to get themselves thrown into this.
And that's kind of like the scary thing. Like, there's 2 kinds of scary to BDS. One of them is if one of them really pops off and it's like unstoppable. Think of like the Shaiko games where he drops like 20 kills per game. I mean, it was very consistent that he would drop 100 kills a stage. Like, what was it? Oh, that he managed to do that? The other one is when all of BDS is just pulling their weight. If everybody's doing what's necessary, and they're nearly all on a single kill per round, that wins you games.
Solotov wants to open this with almost a tragic story for Uno. Just survives on the sliver, the Dokkaebi. Ironically, almost the first victim. That quick peek and spray through. This Doki doesn't quite get any of the work done on the wall. Unfortunately, watched at the last second. It'll stay electric for now. EFAC, he's creeping his way back up to Barao. Avenger, the next to take a spray and a scrap of damage. And Doki gets locked out. EFAC, not sure if that was it. Was the hop out of the west main window. Avenger, Alamau, Uno, all beaten up on this approach. Shaiko's taking a bit of damage, but you're still looking at what is in pocket here for BDS, and they are just dominating this space.
Oh no, just the pixel off of hitting the headshot there onto Solotov, who's leaning into him aggressively. And you're playing around with a DMR, it does a lot of damage, but you're going up against an SMG and a P90 that does have a little high rate of fires. Alamau's coming around, gets the opportunity, locks down Solotov, so at least bringing things back to even, to a 4-on-4. But there's still a lot of work to be done. You still need to clear out the complete top floor. You then need to start going down towards that first floor to do at least have the defender cams to work with now as Uno's hack goes out. It's good that he wasn't spawn peeked earlier. I was going to say that Soto with the Nitro cell. Just looking to follow that up on one another. TP's being tossed out. Benja loses his life on the free fire. Shaiko. Oh, these are the kind of peaks we know from. He knows about the second, but loses that opportunity. Uno shuts him down on the cover. Nitro cell comes through, doesn't do any damage, but it's still a very explosive round.
Uno doing everything he can this round with the little amount of health he was offered from the very beginning, but it's still 3 versus 3 in 40 seconds to try and turn this into one of their success stories. The first of what would need to be 4 to pull this back and any chance of a point from it. EFAC gets to rotate round, gets himself tucked down towards Trench and waits for an approach here on towards what is the long telegraphed Uno above the hatch. Virtue outside the west main windows, and in fact, it's a very long rotate. The Tiburau's gone all the way to the opposite end. There goes 2 users, pick and mix.
15 seconds remaining.
Shakes up the rest of this round. Uno all that's left for G2 in this, but not for long. The long rotate comes out, and BDS. What a dismantling of G2.
I mean, I said it on the cast, right, when it was, you know, jokingly 7-0 G2, but I said it to you before we went live. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to become a 7-2, 7-3 for BDS, because they've just been so dominant throughout Malta, throughout their first game. And it seems like they want to continue that here against G2, who could be considered one of the top 3 teams of Europe. Question marks could be put there now, considering how close everything is, and BDS just dispatching them like that. Is that all BDS? Or is that also like some mistakes being made on G2's side?
Well, let's see what the desk has to think about it.
Thank you so much, Hap and Fluke. And with this victory, BDS solidify themselves the very top of the leaderboard. 6 points for themselves. That's early days, but it is looking very, very good for this roster.
Yeah, it's looking incredible. I mean, was there any doubt to begin with? I mean, we saw how good they were all throughout what we've seen them been playing with this roster. Now they go on and they dominate the former world champions. honestly, it's just mind-boggling how good these players are and how good this is a team that they are. They played perfectly into G2 and perfectly into themselves because they have all this firepower we spoke about combined with the teamwork, and they just put that up to G2's face and said, hey, we're not here to fall back, we're not here to give you anything. We'll fight for everything and we'll take you down doing so.
We said that this might be the big test for BDS. Is we saw them yesterday look so good strategically, teamwork-wise, everything else. But yesterday they weren't up against a former world champion team. Today they were. And if anything, they were better today than what they were yesterday.
By far.
And, you know, there was a lot of hype around BDS before the tournament had even started, before the stage had even started. Was it justified? At that point, maybe not. Is it justified now? Absolutely. Maybe there wasn't enough hype about this team.
Yeah, it just, there was like so many questions. Like you said, this is the test. Was it really a test? Like, was this a close contest?
Disgustingly good.
It was disgustingly good, as you say. But it was not even remotely close. They just, a complete domination. I can't wait, like I'm gonna say it already, I can't wait to see what these guys can do on the international stage.
But there you go, you just jinxed them. I don't think they'll be making it to the...
They're not gonna lose a game this
But they've got everything, right? They've got the two best entries in the league in Solo Top and Striker, the two best entries in the league, by the way. They've then got the best support player in the league in Pregame. Oh, and by the way, when shit needs to happen, when the round needs to be won and a double kill has to come out of nowhere, oh, they've got the best two players in the league if I can use us at doing that as well. One of the things that we say about W7M/now Furia, they've got the best players in the best roles. BDS has got that feeling right now. And, you know, I don't know if you feel it as well, Fabian, but everyone's kind of, at least in my mind, the sky is the limit for this roster.
You know, there's an aura around teams, and this one has that aura already. Without having seen them on a LAN, there are teams that have this, you see them walking and you see the confidence, you see like people look up to them and people fear them. BDS people fear already. I guarantee it, 100%.
I mean, it's such an individual stacked roster that you're playing up against, because you talk about these players until the cows come home with the individual skins that they bring up, but also it's in the minor details as well. I mean, we saw it at the very beginning of the game, Damus Ben coming out from BD as well, after we saw how strong G2 were with it yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Doki said it's one of the best operators that's ever come out. And, well, there seems to be someone listening to that interview. Maybe Doki needs to drink less tomato juice and he needs to talk less about the operators.
Some training coming out.
Yeah, some PR training.
Leaking that.
Don't leak our stuff in the interviews. Well, I don't think it would have mattered what operator was banned. Brutally honest, I don't think it would. They could have gone no ban. They would have still done the same.
So how much do we think is playing into factor that BDS are currently still playing on bootcamp? Because it's so much different when you're playing with your teammates next to each other.
I mean, it's huge, right? If you know, especially for you, Fabian, you know, you've recently been to bootcamp, so you're maybe best, you know, answering it. But it's one thing where players feel security. They feel secure in the team and the organization they're in, and they feel that that organization is investing in them. That's exactly what BDS are doing.
Yeah, and you get a sense of belonging that you don't get anywhere else. First of all, being part of a team makes you feel accepted, and it makes you feel like there's something greater than yourself, and I think that's something that people can miss out on. That's what I miss out on when not being a player, right? It's like the feeling of belonging, and at bootcamp that is pushed even further up, and everybody's just like, you're enjoying your time with each other, you're building very strong bonds, and when you play this well and you perform this well, that bond just gets...
I think you can hold each other to higher standards as well. When you're looking people face in the face, you can say, you were shit. Or you can say, you were class as well. And it builds a bond between the teammates.
Well, they're definitely loving life at the moment with 6 points in 1 week, 2 play days. Looking very, very good for them. But of course, we have one more best of 1 to play out today. We're talking, of course, about the game between Fnatic and Into the Breach. And that will be with us after the break.